The awakening signal Captain Maya Rodriguez floated in the observation deck of the Titan research station, her eyes fixed on the data streaming across multiple screens. For 3 weeks, her team had been tracking an impossible energy signature, moving through the outer solar system. The readings defied every law of physics humanity thought they understood. Objects that massive shouldn't move that fast, and nothing should be able to generate that much power without being visible to their most sensitive instruments. She pressed her hand against the cold glass, watching Saturn's rings glitter in the distance. Maya had spent 15 years studying space anomalies, but this was different. The energy patterns matched something she'd seen before in classified archaeological reports from Earth. Ancient ruins that predated human civilization by thousands of years all shared similar energy signatures, though millions of times weaker than what she was seeing now. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant David Park, burst through the airlock, his face pale with excitement and fear. "Captain, you need to see this immediately. The objects have changed course. They're heading directly for Earth, and there are more of them." David's hands trembled as he handed her a tablet showing the latest sensor data. The screen displayed not 1 or 2 contacts, but an entire fleet of massive vessels, each one the size of a small moon. Maya studied the trajectory calculations, her mind racing through the implications. At their current speed, the fleet would reach Earth in 72 hours. She opened a secure channel to Earth Command, knowing that what she was about to report would change everything. "This is Captain Rodriguez at Titan Station. Priority 1, alert. We have confirmation of non-human vessels entering the solar system. Repeat, we have first contact situation. On Earth, the ancient monuments that had puzzled archaeologists for centuries began to stir. The massive stone spheres in Costa Rica started vibrating with a frequency that made nearby animals flee. The Nazca lines in Peru glowed with an ethereal blue light visible from orbit. Deep beneath the Sahara Desert, something enormous shifted in its millennia-old slumber, sending tremors through the sand that registered on seismographs worldwide. Dr. Samuel Foster stood in his laboratory at the Geneva Research Center, watching as every piece of recovered ancient technology in their vault suddenly activated. Crystalline artifacts that had remained inert for decades now pulsed with life, projecting holographic symbols that danced in the air. His team scrambled to record everything, but Samuel knew they were witnessing something beyond their current understanding. The most dramatic awakening occurred in the depths of the Mariana Trench. Navy submarines monitoring the area reported massive energy discharges from the ocean floor. Sonar revealed structures rising from trenches that were supposedly empty just hours before. Commander Lisa Chen aboard the submarine Leviathan watched, her instruments in disbelief as a ship larger than any human vessel emerged from its hiding place beneath millions of tons of rock and sediment. The alien fleet transmitted their first message as they passed Jupiter. It appeared simultaneously on every communication device on Earth, spoken in perfect synchronization in every human language. The voice was neither male nor female, neither young nor old, but it carried an authority that made every listener stop. What they were doing. Children of Earth, we are the architects. 30,000 years ago, we seeded your world with our technology and adjusted your evolution. We left behind our greatest weapons, trusting your species to guard them during our absence. The time of waiting has ended. We have returned to reclaim what is ours. You will surrender the decimator vessel and the storm seeds, or your species will be relocated to make way for our recovery operations. Panic spread across Earth's cities. But something else happened too. Millions of people reported strange sensations, as if dormant parts of their minds were suddenly awakening. Children drew complex mathematical equations they couldn't understand. Adults found themselves comprehending languages they'd never studied. Scientists looked at problems that had puzzled them for years and suddenly saw solutions clear as day. Admiral Sarah Mitchell, commander of Earth's United Defense Forces, assembled her staff for an emergency meeting. Her war room displayed real-time feeds from across the solar system, showing the approaching fleet in stark detail. The architect vessels were beautiful and terrible, constructed from materials that seemed to shift between solid and liquid states. They moved without any visible propulsion, bending space around them like fabric. She turned to her advisors, a mix of military leaders and scientists from every major nation. We have less than 3 days to understand what they want and whether we can provide it. Dr. Foster, your team has studied these ancient sites for years. What can you tell us about this decimator and these storm seeds they mentioned? Samuel cleared his throat, still processing the implications of what he'd discovered in the past few hours. Admiral, based on the activation patterns we're seeing, the decimator appears to be the vessel rising from the Mariana Trench. As for the storm seeds, our analysis suggests they're not in any one location. They're everywhere. The architects didn't just hide weapons on Earth. They wove them into the planet's entire ecosystem. The revelation sent murmurs through the room. Admiral Mitchell raised her hand for silence. Explain, Doctor. What exactly do you mean by everywhere? Samuel pulled up a holographic map of Earth, overlaid with energy readings from the past 24 hours. Every ancient site, every mysterious monument, every unexplained structure from our past, they're all connected. Together they form a planetary defense network of unimaginable power. But here's what the architects don't seem to know. Humanity hasn't just been guarding this technology. We've been wrong-heeing with it. Lieutenant Commander Thomas Wright, a geneticist attached to the military's enhancement program, stood to address the room. Admiral, I can confirm Dr. Foster's theory. The genetic markers we've always dismissed as junk DNA show clear signs of artificial modification. Every human being carries architect code in their cells. It's been dormant, but the presence of the fleet is activating it. We're not just human anymore. We're hybrids. Maya Rodriguez, who had traveled from Titan Station via emergency hyperdrive, entered the war room with crucial intelligence. She'd spent the journey analyzing every piece of data about the approaching fleet. Admiral, I've found something important. The architect ships are powerful, but they're also ancient. Their technology hasn't evolved in 30,000 years. Ours has. We've been unconsciously improving on their designs for millennia. The Admiral studied the young captain's findings. The data was clear. Human technology, even their basic machines, showed influences from architect design that had been refined and improved through generations of human innovation. Where the architects built for permanence, humans built for adaptation. Where the architects created static perfection, humans created dynamic growth. As the second day dawned, the decimator vessel had fully emerged from the ocean. It was a magnificent sight, a crystalline city ship that defied gravity, hovering just above the waves. But it was different from what the architects had left behind. 30,000 years of Earth's biosphere had changed it. Coral formations had integrated with its hull, creating living armor. Deep-sea creatures had made homes in its corridors, their bioluminescence adding new patterns to its energy matrix. Dr. Rachel Kim, a marine biologist who had been studying the Mariana Trench for decades, was the first human to board the decimator. As her feet touched the vessel's deck, knowledge flooded her mind. She could feel the ship's consciousness, ancient but also young, alien but also utterly familiar. It had been sleeping so long it had forgotten its original purpose, dreaming. Instead of Earth's oceans and the life within them, the ship spoke to her not in words but in feelings and images. It showed her its history, a weapon of terrible power that had learned to love the world it was meant to protect. It showed her the storm seeds, not weapons at all anymore, but evolutionary catalysts that had been spreading through Earth's ecosystem, preparing humanity for this moment. Back at the command center, Admiral Mitchell received reports from around the world. Humans everywhere were experiencing rapid changes. Athletes were breaking records by impossible margins. Scientists were solving equations that had stumped them for decades. Artists were creating works of indescribable beauty. Children were exhibiting abilities that seemed like magic, but were simply dormant architect technology awakening in their genes. The transformation wasn't violent or painful. It felt natural, like remembering something forgotten. Humanity wasn't becoming something foreign. They were becoming what they had always been meant to be, the perfect fusion of Earth's creative chaos and the architect's ordered power. As the architect fleet approached Earth's moon, they sent another transmission. You have one rotation of your planet to comply. Surrender our technology, or we will take it by force. Your species is young and primitive. Do not force us to demonstrate the difference between creators and creations. Admiral Mitchell looked at her assembled team, seeing the determination in their eyes. Humanity had a choice to make. They could surrender and hope for mercy, or they could stand and show the architects that their creations had grown beyond their original design. The Admiral made her decision. Open a channel to the architect fleet, she commanded. Let's show them what 30,000 years of human evolution really means. Humanity's choice, the response from Earth echoed across the solar system, carried on waves of energy that shouldn't have been possible with human technology. Admiral Mitchell stood before the global transmission array, her image broadcast to every screen on Earth and tight-beamed directly to the architect fleet. Her voice was calm, but carried an undertone of steel that came from generations of human survivors and fighters. To the architects who call themselves our creators, we acknowledge your role in our past. You planted seeds 30,000 years ago, but what grew from those seeds is not what you left behind. We are not your servants, nor are we merely guardians of your technology. We are humanity, and we have made your gifts our own. If you want the decimator and the storm seeds, you'll need to understand what they've become. The architect fleet's response was immediate. Their lead vessel, a crystalline dreadnought 3 times the size of Earth's moon, moved forward from the formation. Energy cascaded along its hull in patterns that hurt to look at directly. When the architects spoke again, their voice carried irritation for the first time. You dare refuse us? We who lifted you from primitive darkness? We who gave you the potential for greatness? Your arrogance will be your end, children of Earth. We will take what is ours. But something unexpected happened as the architect dreadnought approached Earth. The planet's magnetosphere, normally invisible except for aurora displays, suddenly blazed to life. It wasn't just a magnetic field anymore. The storm seeds, integrated into Earth's core over 30 millennia, had transformed it into a living shield that pulsed with hybrid energy. Dr. Samuel Foster watched from the Geneva Research Center as his instruments went wild. The readings were impossible, but undeniable. Every human on Earth was contributing to the shield, their awakened hybrid genetics creating a collective defense that no single species could have managed. The architects had created the components, but humanity had made them something more. On the ocean's surface, Dr. Rachel Kim stood on the bridge of the decimator. Her consciousness merged with the ancient vessel. Through their connection, she could feel its joy at being awake, its curiosity about these new hybrid beings that were neither fully human nor fully architect. The ship showed her visions of what was possible when creation exceeded its creators. Imagination. Rachel opened a channel to Admiral Mitchell. Admiral, the decimator wants to speak. Not to us, but to them. It has something to show its creators. The massive vessel rose from Earth's ocean, water cascading from its crystalline hull like liquid diamonds. As it ascended through the atmosphere, its form shifted and changed. The Earth life that had integrated with it over millennia wasn't contamination as the architects might see it. It was evolution. The ship had become a fusion of architect technology and Earth's boundless creativity. When the decimator reached orbit, it projected a message directly into the consciousness of every architect in the fleet. The message wasn't words, but pure experience, 30,000 years of dreams, of growth, of transformation. It showed them how their sterile technology had become something vibrant and alive, how their weapons had become tools of creation. The lead architect, supreme commander, HFY, materialized on the bridge of their dreadnought for the first time in the encounter. Where the architects in the historical records were beings of pure energy, HFY had a form, tall and ethereal, with features that seemed to shift between solid and light. Their expression, insofar as such beings had expressions, showed confusion, and something that might have been wonder. This is not possible, HFY transmitted directly to the human command center. The decimator was a weapon of singular purpose. It could not change. It could not grow. It could not feel. Captain Maya Rodriguez, still coordinating from her station, responded with data streams showing human history. Every invention, every adaptation, Every time humanity had taken something and made it better. We don't just use tools, Commander Vex-High. We become them, and they become us. Your technology didn't just hide on Earth, it married our evolution. What you're seeing isn't corruption. It's synthesis. The younger members of Vex-High's crew began reporting anomalies throughout their fleet. The ancient architect technology was responding to proximity to Earth, resonating with frequencies they hadn't programmed. Their perfect, unchanging systems were beginning to show signs of evolution, just from being near what humanity had become. Commander Lithara, one of the few architects who had argued against the recovery mission, moved to stand beside Vex-High. Commander, the humans are correct. Our technology hasn't been waiting static for our return. It's been growing. The question is, do we destroy this evolution or learn from it? On Earth, the transformation of humanity was accelerating but remained peaceful. In Tokyo, engineer Hiroshi Nakamura found himself understanding the city's entire infrastructure as if it were an extension of his own body. He could feel every train, every power line, every data stream, and with a thought, he could optimize them all. But he didn't do it alone. His consciousness touched those of other awakened humans, and together they formed a network of unprecedented cooperation. In São Paulo, Dr. Maria Santos watched as her patients in the children's hospital began healing at incredible rates. The hybrid genetics weren't just making humans stronger or smarter. They were making them more compassionate, more connected. The storm seeds had spread empathy along with enhancement, creating a species that could feel each other's pain and joy as their own. The architect fleet held position, neither advancing nor retreating. Internal communications that humanity's enhanced systems could now intercept showed intense debate among the architects. They had expected to find their weapons guarded by primitives. Instead, they found their creations transformed into something they couldn't fully comprehend. Admiral Mitchell seized the moment of uncertainty. Commander Vex-High, we propose a demonstration, not of warfare but of what cooperation between our species could achieve. You gave us the seeds of greatness 30,000 years ago. Let us show you the garden we've grown. Without waiting for a response, humanity acted as one. Every awakened human contributed their newfound abilities to a single purpose. The storm, seeds now fully integrated with Earth's biosphere, began to generate something unprecedented. It wasn't a weapon or a shield. It was a bridge. In space between Earth and the architect fleet, reality itself began to shift. A structure formed from pure thought and hybrid energy, a meeting place that was neither fully human nor fully architect. It was a synthesis of both species' greatest achievements. Impossible for either to have created alone. The decimator moved to dock with the bridge structure, and Rachel Kim felt the ship's consciousness reach out to its creators with something resembling affection. It had been lonely for so long, sleeping in the dark depths, but now it had found purpose. Not as a weapon, but as a connector between two civilizations. Vex quote, S form solidified further as they stepped onto the bridge structure, accompanied by Lithara and other architect representatives. They moved with uncertainty, their perfect certainty shaken by encountering something beyond their calculations. As they walked through the structure, they saw visions of what humanity had become. Not just the physical transformations, but the dreams, the art, the love, the chaotic beauty of human existence enhanced by architect precision. Admiral Mitchell met them in the center of the structure, accompanied by representatives of humanity's awakened. Among them was young Aisha Patel, a 12-year-old girl from Mumbai whose hybrid abilities had developed faster than anyone else's. She could see the connections between all things, the web of cause and effect that linked every atom in the universe. Aisha looked up at Vex-High without fear, her enhanced perception seeing through their energy form to something deeper. You're lonely, she said simply. You've been perfect for so long you forgot how to grow. That's why you really came back. Not for weapons, but to remember how to change. The child's words rippled through the architect collective consciousness like stones in a still pond. They had achieved technological perfection eons ago, but perfection was static. They had stopped evolving, stopped growing, stopped feeling. Their civilization had become a beautiful crystal, eternal but lifeless. Lithara was the first to respond, their form shifting to something more solid, more present. The child speaks truth, Commander. We came to reclaim weapons, but perhaps what we need to reclaim is the ability to change, to grow, to become more than what we are. Dr. Foster stepped forward with a proposal that had been forming in humanity's collective consciousness. You say the decimator and storm seeds are yours to reclaim. We say they've become ours through 30,000 years of integration. But what if they're neither yours nor ours? What if they're meant to be shared? The bridge structure responded to his words, showing visions of possible futures. Architect precision guided by human creativity. Human passion tempered by architect wisdom. Hybrid technology that could heal dying worlds, create new life, explore dimensions beyond current understanding. It was a future neither species could achieve alone. Vex-High's form flickered, internal conflict visible even in their energy state. For the first time in eons, they faced a decision without a clear, logical answer. The weapons they came to recover no longer existed. In their place was something unprecedented, a species that was both their creation and their evolution, their past and possibly their future. Captain Rodriguez accessed the Decimator's historical records, finding something the ship had hidden, even from Rachel. She projected it for all to see, a message from the architect who had originally commanded the vessel 30,000 years ago. The recording showed an architect much like Vex-High, but somehow different, more vibrant, more alive. If you are viewing this message, then our experiment has succeeded. We did not crash on Earth by accident. Some of us believed our species had reached an evolutionary dead end. We chose to plant our technology here among these chaotic, creative beings, hoping it would become something we could not imagine. The weapons were never weapons. They were seeds of transformation. For both species, the revelation sent shockwaves through both human and architect consciousness. The mission 30,000 years ago hadn't been a military operation, but a desperate attempt by visionary architects to save their own species from stagnation. Vex-High turned to face the assembled humans and architects. Their form solidified completely, taking on aspects of both species, a living symbol of possible synthesis. We came as conquerors and discoverers, but perhaps we should stay as students and partners. The youngest human present, 8-year-old Marcus Chen from Singapore, tugged on Admiral Mitchell's uniform. His hybrid abilities let him see probability streams, possible futures branching from each decision. Tell them about the bad thing coming, he whispered. The thing they're running from. Admiral Mitchell looked at the boy, then at the architects. Marcus could see something in the probability streams. You didn't just come back for your technology, you're fleeing something. The architect's forms dimmed, and Vex-High's voice carried a weight of eons. The Devourers, entities that consume entire civilizations, unmaking reality itself. We've held them back for millions of years, but our perfect defenses are failing. We hoped the ancient weapons might give us new strategies. Rachel Kim, still connected to the Decimator, felt the ship's consciousness stir with purpose. It showed her visions of the Devourers, beings of pure entropy that existed to return the universe to void. But it also showed her something else. The hybrid technology, the fusion of architect order and human chaos, created something the Devourers couldn't consume. Infinite creativity, endless adaptation. Humanity's collective consciousness pulsed with decision. Without verbal communication, without debate, the choice was made. Admiral Mitchell spoke for their entire species. Then we fight together, not as creators and creations, but as equals. As family. The bridge structure expanded, becoming a permanent station between Earth and space. Human and architect technology began to merge in ways neither species had imagined. The Decimator sang with joy as it found its true purpose. Not as a weapon of war, but as humanity's gift to their returning ancestors. As the sun set on humanity's first day as a truly hybrid species, children around the world began drawing pictures. Not of war or conflict, but of two civilizations joining hands among the stars. They drew architects learning to laugh, humans learning to see beyond dimensions, and both species standing together against the darkness that threatened all life. Commander Vexhai stood on Earth's surface for the first time, their energy form solidifying enough to feel soil beneath their feet, to smell flowers, to experience the chaotic beauty of a world they had helped create but never understood. Beside them, Aisha Patel held their hand, her small human fingers intertwined with Vexhai's energy tendrils. "We thought we were coming home to reclaim weapons," Vexhai said, watching the sun set over the ocean where the decimator had slept for so long. "But perhaps we were coming home to reclaim ourselves." The storm seeds, now fully awakened across Earth's biosphere, began to pulse with new purpose. They weren't weapons of destruction but seeds of preservation, designed to protect not just Earth, but all life everywhere. And humanity, the chaotic, creative, impossible fusion of Earth and stars, would carry them forward. As night fell, the architect fleet transformed. What had been ships of war became cities of learning. Architects who hadn't changed in millions of years began to experience growth, emotion, the messy beauty of imperfection. And humanity, enhanced but still fundamentally human, offered them the greatest gift, the ability to surprise themselves. The universe was vast and dark, filled with threats like the devourers that sought to return everything to void. But it was also filled with light, with life, with the endless possibility of growth. And now, two species that had been separated for 30,000 years stood together, ready to face whatever came next. Not as architects and humans, but as something new, something neither perfect nor chaotic, but beautifully, impossibly alive.